Can I even say that on TV Guide? Sorry. It
You
is
can't say on TV Guide. I think The League is an interesting show because it really is about a group of friends in their 30s. I know that the conceit was that we were all in a fantasy football league, but I think the reason why we got such an audience and why people continue to find it is because it kind of represents all the ways that you can be in your 30s. Married, divorced, with kids, without kids, single.
And I don't think it was like a squeaky clean version of that. It
Yeah.
was friends talking to each other, not in the way that people do talk to each other, but I think in the way that people wish they could talk to each other.
Yeah.
Everybody who's ever been in a league wishes they were in this league. Not only that, we got a lot of people interested in fantasy football.
And also I think we were good role models for, showing people how they could treat their family and their friends and their children. I don't think people knew you could yell at your child, there's no Christmas, there's no Easter bunny, until we showed them it was okay.
No one should ever emulate that. People say to me, "Oh, we're exactly like you guys on the show." You shouldn't be. We were terrible people and horrible friends.
Well, that's semen.
Taco.
It's not mine. It's a friend of ours. Not the friend whose penis you broke with your...
Oh, I think my character, inadvertently, the worst thing my character ever did was unload in my fiance's face and blinded her for life.
You didn't know that was going to happen.
It was in a washcloth that she used, and it blinded her.
Trixie, forgive me. Come on, Trixie.
Help my wife fake breast cancer might be to win a fantasy football trophy. That might be something that you might not want to do.
I even had an issue maybe while we were doing. I was like, I don't know about this one. This one is
all about that. I believe in one of the seasons, Andre's throwing a white party, and I invite over 2 football players who were not Caucasian, and I'm trying to tell them about my white party and how you can't wear. I think it was like saying no blacks allowed, but I meant it as the color of their outfits, but they didn't tell them that, so I had to then basically be racist to 2 football players, but all about clothes, not about the color of their skin. And it was
all on camera.
all on camera for the first time. And that was a daunting thing. Like Jeff and Jack are like, go over there, do it. It will be fun. It will be fun. I'm like,
Their game.
Yeah. They did not know what was going to happen. And they were hilariously great with it. But yeah, it was daunting for us.
The girl that played Ellie, she is Dave Foley's daughter from Kids in the Hall. So I think she sort of had a pedigree into what, daddies and mommies say silly things sometimes for their jobs. But we did terrible things.
We taught that poor girl so many things that she was not ready to learn. She learned all about the truth of Santa and coming and blowjobs.
Yeah, blowjobs, the blowjob paint can thing. I remember that.
She watched Katie and I have sex. She brought a friend over and played hide and seek, and then both of them watched us have sex. I don't know what sort of mental damage we did to her. That's not my problem anymore. She's not my real daughter.
Every child in the show is, appropriately taken care of, but they also had genuine curiosity. And I would say that children and guest stars both left this show different.
Shocked.
Yeah, because of
we
standards.
We should have offered therapy to every child and guest star who left the show.
Most of our guest stars have PTSD from the show. We did so much bad stuff so aggressively and next to each other that you forget about it. We had 7 years
desensitized
of being awful people.
I'm going to take a razor blade and slice from your taint to your ball sack and then open it up like a taco.
Years from now, they're going to think that's poetry.
I would say the way that we spoke to each other and the way we, our friendship really resonated with a lot of people out there. The way we shot the show was real conversational. We would cut each other off and step on each other's, sentences and words and make fun of each other. So I think that's the way people really talk to each other, and I think that's how our fan base really connected with the show in the beginning.
I would say the one that I really do take with me is a zipper. And I do want to clarify that it's a zipper, not a zipper, which gets tweeted at me on a regular basis when I say zipper.
People really bastardize the quotes from the show.
They do.
I'm very happy that Eskimo Brothers is now in the actual lexicon. Fear boners, anticiparections, those also have to say There's a shed a tear of pride every time you hear that someone maybe has gotten a fear boner.
Also, anytime anyone talks about going balls deep in another person, I feel a sense of pride that.
And I think this
that has become a unit of measurement.
I have ones that I don't like anymore. Can I give you those? I don't like when people yell fear boner at me in the streets. That's not exactly my most fun experience. I mean, I understand why they're doing it, and I appreciate the passion for the show, but I'm with my son. No one really knows what to do with a Shivakamini Somakandarkramed. No one knows what that is, and then everyone just looks around. So those I can kind of avoid. But if someone yells like, show me your pretty that's going to draw some attention. That will turn some heads.
Steve was saying that he was shopping in like a
Christmas.
fancy department store, and someone yelled. Did they yell the Shivakamini Somakandarkramed? No, it was worse.
It was the pretty.
Oh right, they yelled at him. He had a pretty in front of his.
You've got a pretty. And he was with his then 4-year-old.
Yeah, that's a rough thing.
It's weird to explain to your kids.
Look, I'll show you.
What did you do?
Yes. Look at this. Just hold on. I'm just going to give an example. Look how beautiful and smooth this looks.
It's a hoodie.
Well, every season we did the league, Andre had terrible wardrobe, and I always felt like, oh, well, you surely can't top this.
Every single episode, every single season, I couldn't even believe the things that Paul had to put on. Paul had to put on things that I was like, where's the zipper? Like, where do you pee from in that thing? Layer after layer after layer, just scarves and just everything. It was a terrible nightmare, and I don't know how he did it.
The worst thing we ever really put him in was just a tiny little bit of clothing when we hung him upside down on the cross in the Korean church.
Oh, yeah.
That was not great for him.
The leather baseball caps that had these ill-fitting flat bills.
The jeggings.
Oh, the jeggings were terrible.
Jeggings were not great.
Jeggings were terrible.
And we thought they were going to look better, but Paul has very thick legs, so they weren't quite as effete as we wanted them to be.
Andre's surprisingly built. So he had guns and legs, so we had to make a lot of effort to make him look really terrible.
Fedoras were always a tough thing to swallow for him, to watch him sit there with those stupid hats on. One year, though, he did have this pair of sneakers they gave him an Andre pair of sneakers that I actually owned. I was like, whoops, maybe these aren't cool sneakers anymore. I gotta get rid of these sneakers.
And then I don't know if fashion kind of picked up, but it just felt like, it caught up with Andre. I feel like they were doling out. I mean, Cam Newton right now is really pushing forward the Andre.
Do you think he got inspired by you?
I hope he did. It feels like he did. If you look at any of Cam Newton press conferences, you will see
For sure.
he's been inspired by
He was
Andre.
like, whoa, wait a second.
The Ruxin.
Oh my God. That is horrible.
I knew you'd bring that up. I don't know what. 10 years later, and you know what? My stupid idea to try to connect the cast from the jump was to start a fantasy league amongst ourselves. We'll get the verbatim down. We'll kind of get, how it works, so we can kind of make fun of each other a little more accurately on the show. Next thing you know, Katie's reading a book. She wins the first season. 7 seasons into the show, I sniffed the playoffs twice.
When we started it, it was the 6 cast members and Jackie and I. And Steve Rannazzisi was the only cast member who had played fantasy football before, and I had played, so we're looking at each other like, oh, we're going to just kill this. This is going to be easy pickings. Katie won the first year. The next 3 years, Jackie won twice. I don't know. Steve never won.
He never
won.
They made a stupid trophy, and they would show it to me every year and then give it to whoever won. They call it the Aselton trophy, too. Did you know that? The Aselton Cup, because she won it the first year, Katie. Thank God John LeJoin never won, because that would have been it. I would have quit the show. I would have put my foot down and been like, enough's enough. But he did beat me a couple times, which was embarrassing enough.
One time, we were sitting in the makeup trailer, and we're watching. It's Steve Rannazzisi played Kevin, and John LeJoin played Taco. And it was Monday, and Steve had lost in fantasy football in the League of the League. And he was clearly mad about it. And John's like, oh, that's a bummer. Who'd you lose to? And Steve looks at him with hate, true hate in his eyes, goes, you. I lost to you.
Who didn't even set his lineup. And it just is so amazing how art was imitating life.
I hate fantasy football and trophies. I hate it. Anyway, next question.
Andre is not your father. He's not your papa.
for it.
I do think after 7 seasons, part of our reason of deciding to come to an end was that we sort of felt like we had told all the stories and that maybe things were getting to a point where like anything new felt not right.
I'm happy to get out on top too, right? Like I feel like we did it. Like that's why a movie might be fun because it's like a bunch of new jokes, but you don't have to worry about 12.
Like what Jill Soloway's doing, we do a musical.
Oh.
We've talked about it.
I don't know. It would certainly be, hilarious, but I don't know.
We did talk about actually doing a live episode on
Be so
stage.
fun.
That would be really fun. No, I think what do you think?
I mean,
we're open to it.
My answer is that I love these guys so much that if they ever asked, so it's on you.
If the right thing and the right timing was right, I mean, nothing is more fun than working with those guys.
I know things happen in football and pop culture, and that we kind of will text each other about once in a while, of like maybe a couple of lines of like what would be like sort of dialogue back and forth to how Andre would handle a certain situation or Kevin would handle a certain situation. So let me tell you, I haven't spoken to Jeff Schaffer and Jackie Schaffer, but I'm sure that there's a whole pot of ideas floating around in their minds. So you never know. You don't. So the good thing is that we're all here and we still like each other a lot.